Alright, this video is dividing decimals by whole numbers. So we're going to look at dividing decimals by whole numbers. And in order to do that, when we do division of decimals, we are going to bring the decimal sign straight up. So when I do my long division, it's going to go, the decimal is going to go straight up above. So let's look at some examples to see how this is going to make sense. So my first example, I'm going to have 12.5 divided by 25. So I have 12.5 divided by 25. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make an estimate of this 12.5. So what I would do is I would round the 12.5 up to 13. So I'm going to write this as a fraction, so 13 over 25. Because essentially, the division sign really is a fraction. So if I have 13 over 25, I'm going to try and figure out, well, what fraction is that going to be close to? And 13 is really actually close to about halfway of 25. So I'm going to say 13 over 25 is going to be equal to 1/2 because I want it to be a simple basic fraction. Again, this is estimation, so I want my answer to be as simple and easy to find as possible. So I know 1/2 as a decimal is going to be 5/10. So that's going to be my estimate. Now when I'm writing down my division, I'm going to write the first number down first, and that's going to go inside these brackets. You can think of it as a house, and then I'm going to put the whole number on the outside. Now, if you remember back to the first slide that we looked at, or the second slide, it said that we're going to bring the decimal sign straight up, the decimal straight up from where it's at. So I'm going to put my decimal in there, and now I'm going to look at 25. Can 25 go into 1? No. Can 25 go into 12? No, 25 is bigger than 12. So I'm going to fill that space with a 0, and then I'm going to look at now 25 going into all of 125. And that's going to go in 5 times. So 25 times 5 is going to be 125. Then I have to subtract these, and that's going to leave me with 0. So my answer is going to be 5/10. Let's look at our next example. Oops, I went a little fast there. Alright, so I have 14.32 divided by 2. So I have 14 and 32 hundredths, and we're going to divide that by 2. First thing I'm going to do is make an estimate, and my estimate's going to be 14 over 2. 14 over 2 is going to simplify down to 7. So that should just kind of give me a ballpark of where my answer is going to be. And then I'm going to write in the 14 and 32 hundredths underneath my house, and then 2 is going to be on the outside. The second number is always going to be listed on the outside. So then I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to say 2 can't go into 1. However, it can go into 14. So we're going to look at 2 going into the 14, and that's going to be 7 times. Oh, I forgot to bring my decimal straight up. Make sure I do that. And then write my 14 down below, and we're going to subtract that. And that's going to give me 0. So then I'm going to look to the next number. I'm going to bring that straight down and draw this arrow showing that I'm bringing it down. 2 goes into 3, well, that's going to be 1 time. And then 1 times 2 is going to give me 2. And I'm going to subtract those, and that's going to leave me with 1. And then I need to draw another arrow to bring down the last number in here, which happens to be 2. And 2 is going to go into 12 6 times. So that's going to give me an answer of 7 and 16 hundredths. which is really close to our estimate. Let's look at another example. Oh boy, looks like I'm going too fast. Let me go back here. Alright, it looks like this video is giving me a tough time. So how about in the right hand corner of your paper right now, why don't you write down tough time. Alright, let's make an estimate for this. So 3 and 128 thousandths. Well, that's going to round to 3. So I would put that 3 over my divisor, which would be 4. 3/4. I know that decimal is 75 hundredths. So there's our estimate. So our answer should be somewhat around 75 hundredths. Okay, so let's write down 3 and 128 thousandths, and we'll put that inside, and then we'll write the 4 on the outside. What's the first thing I need to do with my decimal? Bring it straight up, you say. Okay, I will do that. 4 cannot go into 3, so we're going to fill that with a 0. However, 4 can go into 31. So 4 goes into 31 7 times, and 7 times 4 is going to give me 28. And then I'm going to subtract the 2, and that's going to give me 3. And I'm going to draw an arrow to bring my 2 down. So now 4 goes into 32 8 times, and then 8 times 4 is 32. And we're going to subtract those, and that's going to give me 0, and then I'm going to draw my arrow to bring down my last remaining number, which is 8. 4 goes into 8 2 times, because 4 times 2 is 8. Subtract those, and that's going to give me 0. So that leaves me with an answer of 782 thousandths, which happens to be really close to our estimate of 75 hundredths. Alright, let's look at our last example. 4 and 322 thousandths divided by 6, so I'm going to do my division. So 4 and 322 thousandths is going to go on the inside, and 6 is going to go on the outside. So I'm going to bring my decimal straight up, and then 4 goes into, 6 cannot go into 4, so I'm going to fill that with a 0, but then it goes into 43 7 times, and that's going to be 42, and I'm going to subtract that, and 43 minus 42 is going to give me 1. And then I'm going to draw my arrow to bring down the 2. So that's going to give me 12. 6 times 12 is going to be 2. 6 times 2 is going to give me 12. And subtract those. And then that's going to give me 0. So I'm going to bring down my last remaining number, which is going to be a 2. Now 6 cannot go into 2, so I need to put a 0 above the 2. But because 6 can't go into 2, I can add a 0, which is not going to make my number larger or smaller. So I can add as many zeros as I need to. And I'm going to bring that 0 straight down. So now 6 can go into 20 3 times. And that's going to give me 18. And then I'm going to subtract those. And that's going to give me 2. So I'm going to add another 0 and bring that straight down to give me 20. Again, 6 times 3 is going to give me 18. And it looks like this process is going to repeat itself. So I'm going to quit with my numbers with where I'm at. And I'm going to write my answer down as 7,203 ten thousandths with the 3 repeating. If you have any other questions on this video, please feel free to go back and watch any part of the video that you need to.